guys, what's up? So right here at the end of Dragonflight Season 1, I got this wild idea. Can I no life grind out the last 100 points or so I need to get 3k IO rating here on a bear? Now, most of my friends and guildmates had already dialed it down to low power mode here at the end of the tier, and I was already happy hitting my personal goal of 2900 IO rating, which I'd chronicle here in this channel and on Twitch. But after a happy accident in a key, and after things that I learned in my recent interview with a world-class bear player, Bame, which by the way you can check out here on this YouTube channel, I was starting to think, hey, maybe 3k is possible. So along the way, there were some key learnings and definitely some near burnout moments, but we got there and we learned some good lessons along the way. Let's check it out. It started off about a week before the season ended when I accidentally signed up for a 23 key with some pugs. There was just one problem. I can't believe that I started this key in the wrong spec. Just rip my stupidity. I was still in my raid build from the night before. I had Incarn, which I normally don't have, but I was missing several key pieces of utility that I normally run with, like Incapacitating Roar or the mini cheat death of Well-Honed Instincts. This is a problem. This is a real problem. I'm not in the right build at all for this. I was sure I'd get flattened and the pugs would yell at me for scuffing their precious 23 Burial Grounds key, and they'd all never agree to run with a bear again. But then a weird thing happened. We did just fine. The other players obviously carried the bulk of the CC load for me since I couldn't roar, but from my perspective, Incarnation carried the day in sticky moments, and the monstrous amount of health, armor, and rage that I was getting every time I popped it kept me alive. And that's when I realized I was more or less in a similar build to the one that Bame, the world-class bear player that I recently interviewed, had suggested I try if I was going to push any higher anyway. I suddenly found myself up 20 to 30 IO score and thinking, hey, if I make some tweaks, going for 3k is something I might be able to do, even as a semi-hardcore, semi-casual player who also plays bear. So here's the build I swapped up to when I made this push. It's a fairly standard Incarn build that includes the cooldown reduction talent for Incarn as well. You buff Barkskin out the wang and get the cooldown reduction on it as well, and you pick up 2 charges of Survival Instincts and Rage of the Sleeper. So, when you're not an Incarn, you have lots of CDs to cycle through, and I even picked up Earthwarden and Tooth and Claw to help with passive damage reduction in between. I am trying a new spec on this key. This will be my first time really trying it. For the rest of the week, the results were pretty obvious. This is where shit gets real now, because I can't, my FPS is dropping so low, I can't even see. I have 8 stacks of Iron Fur, that's incredible. Even in a bolstering week, I could go big on pulls, let my DPS players shine, and we'd enjoy big time savings that we really didn't necessarily need in plus 20 keys, but suddenly now that you're doing 23s, you absolutely need to shave off seconds here and there to make it work. For the most part, pulling like this with the 30% health from Incarn and the monstrously high Iron Fur stacks alone was enough to survive. When Incarn wasn't enough alone, a quick pop of Barkskin and some frenzied regen was more than adequate. And since I had the cooldown reduction talents for Barkskin, it would be back up again shortly after Incarn was down, allowing me to cycle through it to fill in gaps between Incarns. And that was the plan. Go big with Incarn whenever possible, then cycle through the myriad of CDs we have to survive until it was back up again. So I used this approach to basically no-life it for the whole week. According to Raider.io, I timed 21 different keys in the 21 to 24 range as part of powering up and down my key on my own because bears don't get a lot of invites. But it doesn't track probably that other 20 to 30 or so keys that we either scuffed the timer or when someone rage quit. That's just frustrating. Now, mind you, I was primarily playing with pugs, which as can be hit or miss. This led to some frustration. Oh no, I went the wrong way! God. I have to have some kind of heals. Like, somebody other than me has to... And lots. Damn it. And lots of whining. Yeah, and they're leaving. Calling it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best you can hope for is that they don't say anything rude. I even tried a key or two as a cat to broaden the number of keys I could get into. It was a fun diversion from some of the frustrations of tanking for pugs, but Ultimately, I miss tanking. This is so fun. I never get to play cat.
What's yours?
Oh no. I have to actually care about the poop on the ground. I'm not immortal. Coming into the last day of Season 1, Trap Monday as we call it in our guild, I had just had a terrible run of luck, pugging and depleting my keys 3 or 4 times in a row. And now, if you follow me at all, you know that I'm really big on the be kind as a player philosophy, and viewers and friends were already starting to point out that after a week of no-life grinding, maybe I was getting away from that. Well, it's kind of a dick move. Wow.
Oh.
That was the Ragnaros player too, wasn't it? Yep, sure the fuck was. I knew this key.
Toxic wind. What's going on?
Huh?
Rowan has been jaded by the pug.
Oh shit! That was a little mean to say.
So I knew something had to change, and that's when I remembered another key part of my interview with Bame, the world-class Guardian Druid player. It wasn't just the spec that needed to change, but at some point, you just can't do it alone. You need a pool of friends.
Gummy bears, bouncing here, there, and everywhere.
So even though most folks on my guild and friends list had, very reasonably, dialed it down for the end of the season, I worked my network and, candidly, begged for a little help. Now, with the power of love and friendship, we managed to smoke some keys, but that didn't always mean it was clean. Nobody else is going to kick him. Sorry, I got you breathed on. So on Monday night, with just hours to go before the end of the season deadline, we were able to get over some hurdles by coordinating the kind of stuff you just can't do on the fly with pugs. Yeah, and what
I was going to say, VE's only 1.3 minutes, so if we just rotate through each of those, like my VE, Arima's, Nature's Vigil, your Nature's Vigil, mine will be up on if we have another one.
And even some Twitch viewers got in on the act to get us over the hump, like here, where a viewer walked me through how to do the Tyrannical Herja cheese after I messed it up a couple times earlier in the week. Even then, it felt like the game was toying with me.
Good job.
Are you fucking kidding? Do you know what my score is now? 29.99.
Yeah, that was me. Welcome to the club, bitch.
Call that the after school special.
With about 3 or 4 hours left till the deadline, I dinged my 3K rating.
Hey, sorry for the mess up.
Did it.
Bad.
Huge.
Huge.
Huge 4 points. Wow.
Congrats, fail.
Everyone's
Yeah,
favorite.
congrats, Phil.
Thank you. All in all, I'm glad for the experience, and I definitely feel like I learned a lot, and it was good to have that validation that, hey, even for a semi-hardcore, semi-casual player like myself, or at least that's how I play when I'm not no-lifing it, Bear can hit 3K rating. Now, here are some of my biggest takeaways from the experience. I'm definitely going to try the Incarn builds for the start of Season 2. Both my dungeon builds will have access to Incarn as well as the cooldown reduction talent, 4 big cooldowns in Barkskin, Survival Instincts, and Rage of the Sleeper. That's with Barkskin buffed by various talents as well, along with Earth Warden, which I'll have to fill some gaps, and of course, all the Moonfire damage reduction and spreading talents that you'd expect. I have a feeling that these Maul and Raze-centric builds are going to see a lot of play in Season 2, moving away from the Thorns of Iron builds because of our set bonus that buffs Maul damage. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep playing with it even now because I'm already comfortable with it. So I'm thinking something like this for Fortified, basically using Raze to spread Tooth and Claw procs and the 15% damage reduction, and something more like this for Tyrannical, where I swap out Raze and pick up Pulverize for big boss damage events. This is, of course, what I'm going to start with as I learn keys, bosses, and pulls, and usually, when you're learning, you need more damage reduction to overcome mistakes. My second key learning from this journey was, I talked to some friends, and we're going to put together somewhat of a static M+ night so that we can learn and grow together. By the way, there's still a spot open on that team, so if you have similar interest in pushing keys, want to reserve your Thursday night for it, and candidly, you're not a dick when you're running keys, hit me up in the comments or on Twitch, and let's talk. Finally, my last key learning is I'm not sure I'd ever try a late season no-life push like this again. Like I said earlier in the video, friends and viewers were pointing out that it made me a little grumpy and unbearable. My wife was definitely starting to drop hints that, hey, maybe you're playing a little too much. And honestly, I was starting to feel a little burned out, which is not where you want to be going into the next season. The end of a season should be more about dialing back your playtime, spending more time with family, farming wife rep, and getting your IRL honeydew list done so you can hit the next season hard, if that is what you're into. So thanks so much for joining me on a recap of this journey. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Be sure to follow me on Twitch, where we'll be streaming Season 2 keys pretty much every night and streaming one night a week Mythic raiding on Wednesdays. Until the next video, see ya.